Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious New Orleans smothered potatoes with chicken and smoked sausage. Smothering is a cooking technique that was developed in Louisiana. You can take meat, seafood, or vegetables and you simmer it in a liquid over a period of time. In this case, we smothered potatoes, chicken, and smoked sausage in a rich and flavorful chicken stock. This recipe you can get about 6 to 8 or possible more servings. It's a New Orleans classic comfort food dish. It's absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all you'll need to make your chicken and sausage smothered potatoes. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 4 large russet potatoes. This is 4 pounds in weight total. And along with that, you will need 2 pounds of chicken thighs, 1 pound of D&D smoked sausage. You can use either salted or unsalted butter, and you'll also need some vinegar. And for your seasonings, you'll need 1 yellow onion, celery, green bell pepper, garlic, and for your additional seasonings, you'll need some salt, black pepper, Tony Saturated Creole seasoning. Now, if you don't have this, you can use the Zatarain's Creole seasoning or the Sapper Mama Cajun seasoning. You will also need some Chef Paul Prud'homme's Poetry Magic, granulated onion, granulated garlic, some dried parsley, and some dried thyme. And for your tools, you will need a potato peeler. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So I'm going to get started by chopping up half of a yellow onion. Next, I'm going to rinse off my celery and my green bell pepper off with cold water. Okay, next I'm going to chop 2 ribs of celery. You're going to make sure that you remove the core out of the center of your green bell pepper before you chop it. Chop half of a green bell pepper. Alright, here I have 3 cloves of garlic. I cut them in half. Here I have a garlic press. And I'm going to take the garlic press and press the garlic. And there we go. Okay, next we're going to peel 4 russet potatoes with a potato peeler. And there we go. Okay, next I'm going to take my knife. Just going to cut this. And from there I'm going to cut the potatoes into quarter pieces. Alright, let's get started with soaking our potatoes. So in this medium-sized bowl, I've added 4 cups of cold water and I've added my cut potato cubes in there. And to that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vinegar. And make sure your hands are clean. I'm just going to take my hands and just toss the potatoes into the vinegar and water solution. Not only will this help clean the potatoes, but it'll also prevent them from turning brown. Let this soak for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes of soaking time is up, add your potato cubes into a strainer. From there, you're going to let the potatoes sit in here until they're ready to be cooked. Alright, here we have our D&D smoked sausage. Now we're only going to use half of this. So just cut that off. And from there, I'm going to cut this. And from there, I'm going to cut the D&D smoked sausage into quarter pieces. Alright, I've placed my chicken thighs into the strainer. And I'm going to rinse the chicken thighs off with cold water. Now I like to do this step to rinse off any blood or particles that might be on the chicken thighs. Okay, next I'm going to take some napkins and pat the chicken dry. Now if your chicken has any type of excessive skin or fat, you just take your knife and just trim that off. And there we go. Okay, I placed my chicken thighs into this large bowl. Let's add some seasoning. We're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of Tony Saturated Creole seasoning, and 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Poetry Magic. Now I'm going to take my hands and just coat the seasonings onto the chicken thighs. Place this into your refrigerator for about 4 hours or overnight. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with searing our chicken. So in this large saucepan, I let it heat for about 1 minute. I'm just going to gently spread some salted butter in there. Add your chicken thighs. I'm going to add them in there upside down. Let this sear for 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Alright, it's been about 6 to 8 minutes total searing time for our chicken. I'm just going to flip it over just to show you how the other side of the chicken looks after being brown. And from there, I'm going to flip the chicken back over to the opposite side. Add 1 1/2 quarts of water. Now let's add some seasoning. I'm going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, a 1/2 teaspoon of dried parsley flakes, and a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. I'm going to just give this a quick stir. I'm going to cover this. Let this simmer for 45 minutes. Alright, it's been about 20 minutes now. And what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the chicken from out of the liquid. I'm going to place it onto the serving plate here because we don't want to overcook the chicken. We just want to cook it until it's done. And from there, we're going to set this on the side and let it cool. I'm going to cover this. Let this simmer for 25 minutes. Alright, it's been about 25 minutes now. And after 45 minutes total cooking time, our chicken stock is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire off. Let this cool for 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, here I have a fat separator with a mesh strainer inside of it. And from there, we're going to pour the chicken stock right on in there. And whatever contents that they have left over in the mesh strainer, you can discard that. And once done, you should have about 2 1/3 cups of chicken stock in here. Minus the fat right here, because with the fat, it goes to 2/3 cup. So we have 2 1/3 cups. Alright, here we have our chicken pieces. We let them cool completely. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start by removing the skin and the fat off of each chicken piece. Alright, and from there, make sure your hands are clean. Just take the chicken and just separate it from the bone. And from there, you just take your hands and just separate the chicken pieces. And there we have it. Our chicken pieces are ready. Now we're going to set this on the side and we're going to add this into the smothered potatoes later. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with searing our smoked sausage on this large saucepan. They still have some pan juices left over from when we made the chicken stock. So we're just going to add our cube smoked sausage right on in there. Going to give this a quick stir. Let this saute for about 4 to 5 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 4 to 5 minutes now, and our smoked sausage is done. As you can see, there's a lot of grease in there, so we're going to strain that in just a second. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my fire off. Alright, here I have a medium-sized bowl with a mesh strainer. And from there, I'm going to add the smoked sausage into the mesh strainer. Going to shake that to let some of the oil drain into the bowl. From there, we're just going to cover this and set this on the side until we're ready to add it into our smothered potatoes. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with making our smothered potatoes. So in this large 8-quart pot, I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of salted or unsalted butter right on in there. I'm going to spread this around. And I'm going to let that melt. Add 1 cup of chopped yellow onion, 2/3 cup of chopped celery, and 2/3 cup of chopped green bell pepper. Stir all your ingredients together. I'm going to cover this. Let this simmer for 10 to 12 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 10 to 12 minutes now. Add 1 tablespoon of the pressed garlic, your potato cubes. Let's add some seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, a 1/2 teaspoon of granulated onion, a 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic, a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme, and a 1/2 teaspoon of dried parsley. Stir all your ingredients together. Add 1 2/3 cups of your homemade chicken stock right on in there. Stir all your ingredients together. I'm gonna cover this. Let this simmer for 15 minutes, stirring every 5 minutes. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes now. Just give this a gentle stir. Add your chicken pieces and your chopped smoked sausage. I'm just gonna spread that around. Alright, there we go. Now we're not going to stir this or anything. I'm gonna cover it. Let this simmer for 5 minutes. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes now. And now we can take our spoon and stir all the ingredients together. Alright, that looks good. And after 20 minutes total cooking time, our chicken and sausage smothered potatoes is done. Let this cool for about 30 minutes to an hour before serving. And for best results, you can let this cool completely, put it in a container and place it into your refrigerator and serve it the very next day so that way the flavors can settle and increase overnight. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Smothered potatoes with chicken and smoked sausage made by a New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including this one. Go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's Taste Test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to go eat and take a bite. Ooh. Man, this is so rich. Oh my goodness. Those potato cubes soaked up all that chicken broth with all the seasoning that we've added and that smoked sausage. Oh my goodness, this is a winner. Ooh. I put my foot in this. It's really good. So, give the recipe a try. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.